Hi, I wanted to give you an update on what the tomato seeds look like after they've been fermenting. And I'm just going to give you a warning, it's kind of gross. So I put them in a jar. I didn't have that many seeds, so this is just like a pint mason jar, and I covered it half full, and you want to double as much seeds you have with the water. And then I've let it sit for 6 days, okay? And it's pretty freaking disgusting. But this is what you want to happen. So the first step I'm gonna do is break up this mold. So I'm gonna add more water to it. It smells freaking gross. And then what I'm gonna do is give it a second, and I'm gonna try to let the seeds simmer back down, and then I'm gonna pour off some of this, and we're just gonna pour it down the drain. Because the theory is all the seeds are gonna be on the bottom, and all this grossness is gonna float up to the top here, okay? So let's just pour some of this off, and I'll go slow and just make sure that what's coming up here is just pulp in this water with this layer of slimy mold it had on here. Okay, I don't see any seeds yet. Hang on, we're getting there. But this is great that we can pour off this much because the seeds are heavier and they're down the bottom. Now, can you see the seeds in there? They're in there. So I'm going to pour off just a little bit more. Okay, now we have a good ratio of what we have left in here. We've got most of the muck out. So what I'm going to do is rinse it 3 more times like this and try to get all of this out before we put it in a sieve, just to make sure. Okay, and then now if you can see, all the seeds are floating around, and they're actually floating to the bottom. So we're just going to give it a few seconds for it to settle, and then we're going to do the same thing and pour off everything that's floating. And you want to be careful when you get to the end here that you're not getting too close to the seeds and you don't have any seeds suspended in it. Okay. There is some gook in here I'm trying to get out. Okay. I'm going to do it one more time, but not all the way up, just halfway this time. And swish it out because we're getting close. Okay, and I'm just going to let those seeds settle to the bottom. Because if you get hasty and you pour it too quick now, you're going to lose a couple of seeds. And the whole point of going through this is to save those seeds, right? So now that I only have half full of water, I'm going to pour it a little bit slower. Okay. I'm getting to a point now where I want to put it through the strainer. What I'm really trying to do is just get all those top pieces of mold off. Okay. And I'm going to pour this now into just a regular sieve strainer. Not a pasta strainer, because these seeds are tomato seeds and they're going to go right through that. So you do need a strainer like this. So I'm just going to put them in here, and I'm going to rinse it again. And what I'm going to do is just use the sprayer now and just spray it through and make sure there's no more gook. And I do see a little bit in here, so we're going to try to get rid of that. Because all we want to have left is just the seed. The whole point of doing this fermentation was to get rid of that layer of goopiness that's on tomato seeds. You also find that on cucumber seeds, watermelon seeds, squash seeds, you know, they all kind of have that. But tomatoes are the worst. Okay. So what I've got now is I've got this all rinsed out where I want to, but now we have to dry it. So what I'm going to do is just dump it on a sheet of wax paper. You want to use wax paper instead of parchment paper or any kind of paper that's uncoated, because what will happen is it's going to stick to it. And then when you're going to lift up those seeds, you could be lifting some of the coating of the seed with it, and it may make the seed not viable at that point. So you do want to take care at this last step. This only takes like another week or so. You're going to roll out a sheet of wax paper, just dump this on it, and then shake it every couple of days. And then once they're dry, put it in an envelope or a paper bag or glass jar or whatever you want to do to save the seeds, and then they'll be. So I've dumped them on the wax paper here so you can see, and sometimes they do clump up. You can see how, because the seeds are so small, they are going to stick together. So you're just going to try to break them up as best you can and spread them out, and that's really it. And then you're just going to let them dry. And then once they're dry, you should be able to just pull them gently apart, and then you have individual seeds. Now, each one of these seeds could be a huge cherry tomato plant. These are my Sun Gold cherry tomatoes, and I also did red cherry tomatoes. And you want to make sure as you keep these seeds drying, you label them, right? I'm going to put a piece of painter's tape on this and write on it that these are the Sun Gold tomatoes, because the worst thing you want to do is mix them up, right? Or mix them together, and then you know you're not going to get the pure breed that you're looking for. So I hope this was helpful, and you'll have some great seeds next year. Thanks again for watching Maine Tiny Homestead.